We recently created one of our proudest projects to date for an absolutely iconic Canadian brand, Sherwood Hockey, for their 75th anniversary. It was shot entirely in our favorite place in the whole world, Nova Scotia, and we had a lot of fun with it. In this video, we're going to break down a number of the elements and steps that made this project and final product so special. Let's jump in. Sherwood's creative director, Jesse Ingalls, told us right away that the theme of the video was going to be deeply rooted, harkening back to the brand's rich heritage creating world-class hockey sticks since 1949.
We had exactly 1 month to take a creative brief from the client and turn it into a beautiful story and concrete game plan. So we got to work shaping a story that captured the nostalgia of the Paul Coffey and Al MacInnis era and transitioned us into the modern age of high-tech stick manufacturing for the likes of William Nylander, Matt Tkachuk, Emily Clark, and Connor Bedard.
We decided that our two characters would be a grandfather, the lumberjack slash craftsman, and a grandson slash next-gen hockey player. The craftsman's workshop became the natural place to show the connection between the two characters, galvanized by their shared love for hockey, as the grandfather passes the torch to his grandson.
It only made sense that our story began at the source, in the woods, gathering the raw materials to craft a classic wooden hockey stick the way it was done 75 years ago. And we knew we wanted to end on the ice with a new stick in the hands of a player from the next generation. Once our story was in place, as is often the case, we had to be very scrappy with our limited time and budget to figure out who would play these roles for us and where we would actually shoot these scenes.
For our craftsman, I reached out to a carpenter friend, John, and asked if he knew anyone who would fit the bill for this role. John also came through clutch and set us up with Phil, who'd been a mentor of his in his early carpentry days.
For our young hockey player, Dave reached out to his friend Matt, who was the coach of the Dartmouth U15 major team. And within a few minutes, he sent us a name, Sam Ryan. We looked him up and saw he had 38 points in 19 games and said, okay, we've got our guy.
Given that the weather was unseasonably warm for the middle of January, we had to be strategic about our outdoor scenes, and we figured that we'd need to shoot on the north shore of the province around the Wentworth Valley to give us the best chance of actually having snow and frozen outdoor rinks.
Jack and I spent an entire day driving around and scouting the north shore to find our tree chopping location, which we knew needed snow and sparse trees for a top-down drone shot that we'd planned. We also needed to hunt down an outdoor hockey rink, which we ended up finding in Wallace, Nova Scotia.
For our workshop location, Rachel found a local woodworkers Facebook group and put out a call. We hit the jackpot when a gentleman named Paul reached out and offered us his beautiful workshop. Not only were Paul and his wife extremely kind and generous with their space and with their time, but Paul is a super talented woodworker, which allowed us to take our stick building scene to the next level, where he was actually able to craft a partially made wooden stick that we could show Phil assembling and putting the final touches on. As we planned out some of the small details of how the scenes would actually come together, a few really cool opportunities emerged to have some fun with our transitions between those scenes. We realized that swinging an axe had a very similar motion to a hockey shot, so maybe there was a way that we could tie the two together. And we thought, what if, right before our character goes to chop down that first tree, we cut to a sound from the wood shop, rather than the sound of the axe actually hitting the tree. Maybe it's a light switch or a board dropping on the workbench. Now we're getting fired up, but we also know that concepts like this can be really tough to execute, so our plan needed to be airtight. Gavin got to work visualizing these scenes and transitions, leveraging generative AI via ChatGPT's DALL-E function to create beautiful inspiration images for our storyboard. So we needed a mechanism through which we could transition from the old wooden stick to the new composite, and decided to do this through a moment of magic in the workshop scene through the use of stop motion. Our DP Jack spent a full day building the remote controlled dolly setup so that we could have the camera travel the length of each stick on the exact same track over and over, all for about 4 or 5 seconds of footage in the final product.
We filmed all of the hockey scenes with a small camera stabilizer setup that sat on top of a custom sled Jack built from a car mounting system. This allowed me to skate alongside our talent while Jack was able to control the camera angles and frame the shots with a PlayStation controller connected to the stabilized camera rig. The rig could also be quickly moved to different setups, including to the top of this tall stand to get a bird's eye view of the rink, and to the end of a monopod to capture this cool rising shot, moving from the puck to an overhead shot of the skater as he moved through the frame. One last hurdle was lighting our outdoor rink for our final nighttime scene. We purchased a bunch of these halogen floodlights and placed them all around the rink, producing a really nice warm light to illuminate the otherwise cold and dark winter setting.
No matter how much great planning gets done in advance of a shoot, there is always some re-engineering on the day and in the final edit. Tori did an amazing job putting the story together, while Sasha Louis-Leger and Eric Bailey worked their magic on sound design and color respectively. This was a very authentic Nova Scotia winter filmmaking experience, and we are super proud of the final outcome. A huge thanks to everyone who chipped in to bring this one home, and thanks for watching. If you want to see the final video, it's on our website homepage at threesixfive.ca.